What is going on, trainers? DrumVillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and today we're taking a look at a Great League team, specifically a team that I've ran before a few seasons ago, and I actually called it my best Great League team at the time. If you remember this video, this is the team I'm talking about, and it was a very, very strong team at the time. Pelipper was a very, very devastatingly strong save swap, and I wanted to revisit this team and see if it still holds its own in the Great League, because there's been a lot of strong shifts in the Great League meta in the last couple of seasons. Things like the rise of Walrein, the rise of Trevenant, the rise of Walrein and Registeel, that you would assume would really upset the balance of this team and the strengths that it actually uses to perform well in the Great League. So I wanted to try it out again, have some runs with it, and see if it's still going to apply, and let you guys know how it goes. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Now, when I did first use this team on the channel, it was one of the most popular videos that I'd released. Up to that point, it performed very well. And if you type in now currently DrumVillain best Great League team, it's this team that comes up. And so I really thought it was important to revisit it, since it's been a couple of seasons, and like I said, there's been some changes, see if it still applies. And then I'm probably going to work on trying to bring you guys a hard meta line for the Great League to help you climb in this week, and then when it actually matters in a competitive season, I'll no doubt try and bring some spice and absolutely screw myself over. But that's not the point right now. I do think there's a lot to learn from trying out some of your old strongest teams, some of your old favourite Pokemon to run that maybe you've not used in a while, that maybe you think don't have play anymore, or maybe you maybe just moved on for a while and just started using other things, built new Pokemon that you want to try out instead. But it's worth revisiting those old Pokemon. You can learn a lot of lessons about what the new, stronger Pokemon actually are in the current state of the game, and you can get some nice ideas towards building some new teams of your own if you're feeling a little stuck for inspiration. So if you like what you see, you like the team, consider hitting the like button. If you want to check out more of what I've got to offer, consider hitting the subscribe button. A thank you to those that do, and to any that already have subscribed, you're absolute legends. And let's take a deeper look at the actual team. On the lead, we're bringing Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn's a fantastic Great League pick in general, holds its own fantastically well against so many of the Great League meta picks, does well against Azumarill, Stunfisk, can hold its own against Flyers pretty well. It only really has to worry about fighters and fire types particularly. Everything else it can kind of have a solid neutralish matchup or wins quite handedly. In the back, we're going to be running both Azumarill and Pelipper. Now, Pelipper and Azumarill both make great save swaps in the Great League. In general, they both deal with Ferrothorn's weaknesses to fighting and fire types quite well. Pelipper's good for a high pressure save swap in a lot of situations. The Weather Ball Hurricane combination does very well for threatening many things, can often get you a shield or just force switch advantage, especially if they decide to bring in something in a neutral matchup. Pelipper in the two shields can often flip those scenarios. On Ferrothorn, we're going to be running Power Whip and Flash Cannon as the charge moves, and Azumarill, Ice Beam and Hydro Pump just to give us some coverage against some of the tanks like Registeel and Bastiodon. And for Pelipper, it's just a standard move set of Wing Attack, Weather Ball and Hurricane. You don't really want to consider the other moves that it has access to. So we jumped into some battles, and no lie, the first lead I ran into was Kanto Ninetales. Kanto Ninetales is a very hard punish to Ferrothorn, so we're going to save swap into Pelipper and see what we can do in this matchup. And this opponent's going to swap out into Walrein. Now, Walrein and Pelipper have pretty even matchups against each other, but if you can land the Hurricane, you can flip this, and you don't have to commit a shield first in this scenario, because if they shield this Hurricane, then they're going to win the matchup, and that's fine, and you can get a shield advantage out of them. But if they don't shield it, you can choose to shield up the Icicle Spear and then farm down the Walrein and take that matchup. So we've lost shield advantage, we've got switch, we've got a bit of energy we can dump into this Zweilous, and we're actually seeing that because they've got Ninetales and Zweilous left in the back, most of our play is on Azumarill. Azumarill pretty much walls Zweilous, entirely resists all its charge moves, and it's going to be resisting everything from Ninetales, well, unless they throw Psyshock or Solar Beam, which it does have access to. And because they've got a shield advantage, they're actually not in a bad position with the Ninetales. They probably could make it to 2 Solar Beams here, but they choose to not shield the Ice Beam. Maybe they were thinking that it'd do less than it actually did, but it's going to put them in bubble down range, so we can shield at 1 Solar Beam, take them out, and even with a 2 shield advantage and an energy advantage, this Zweilous is not going to be able to take us down. They might just get rid of the Azumarill, but Ferrothorn's going to be resisting the Dragon Breath. They have to throw a Dark Pulse at Ferrothorn to do neutral damage, and we're going to be able to survive one Dark Pulse. So we're in a very, very strong position. But like I said, if they'd shielded up the Ninetales, they could have forced getting to 2 Solar Beams against Azumarill and actually taken the matchup. So a bit of a misplay by the opponent, but we are going to take advantage where we can. Alright, we're going to crank the speed up for the rest of this matchup just to get it out of the way, because like I said, this wireless isn't going to quite be able to take the win from us. We're actually going to get hit with the Dark Pulse here, but it's not going to be enough, not going to quite take us out, and then just a Power Whip will be enough to finish off this wireless. That's going to be a GG. So, Ferrothorn proving its quality as a safe swap, able to flip the matchup against the Walrein and get Ferrothorn away from the Ninetales. So matchup number 2, and we get another terrible lead, Medicham. You can really safe swap either Azumarill or Pelipper against Medicham because both do very well against Medicham. I like to safe swap Pelipper because I feel like they'll often have a hard counter to Azumarill in the back. It's one of the more common answers to Medicham. Azumarill, so they're very likely to be prepared for that. Pelipper's a little bit more unusual, so there's a good chance that we're going to be able to flip the opposing safe swap and then hopefully get Azumarill lined up to the Medicham and Ferrothorn lined up with something more positive. And we do pull out a Galarian Stunfisk, and the Galarian Stunfisk Pelipper matchup is an interesting one because if Stunfisk has an energy advantage, Stunfisk wins. If Pelipper has an energy advantage, Pelipper wins. It takes 5 2-turn fast moves for each one to get to a charge move, and Pelipper can survive 1 charge move, Stunfisk can survive 1 charge move, so it's a very, very close matchup. But if you swap in your Pelipper and you've got an energy advantage, you'll be just fine against a Galarian Stunfisk, assuming that they don't manage to sneak in too many mud shots or there isn't too much lag that costs you too much energy in that situation. So we managed to get Ferrothorn lined up with the Walrein instead, but you're going to see that Walrein is absolutely relentless in the Great League. Those Icicle Spears are absolutely smashing us to bits. They're going to catch a Power Whip on their Medicham, which is a little unfortunate because if we could have saved that energy, we might have just been able to still take out the Walrein. But now that we've dumped that energy, we're going to struggle because we realistically, if they hang on to this shield, we're going to need to get to 2 Power Whips to finish off that the Walrein, and they get to Icicle Spears very fast, and we are in range of 1 more Icicle Spear. They actually shield the Medicham, which gives us a slight glimpse of hope, but we need to not let this Walrein get extra energy, and we don't have a choice about that because our switch clock ain't up yet, so we can't swap out to a Ferrothorn. They get a couple of Powder Snows in before we're able to, and they're able to just get to the Icicle Spear just as we get the energy through for the Power Whip. So we're going to go down, the Walrein's going to be able to farm us down and take us out, and they're going to take that win. GG. So right now the team isn't looking too hot, at least on the lead position, and this doesn't go well for us either. The next matchup we get a Registeel lead, which again, terrible lead for Ferrothorn, and I tell you what, both Azumarill and Pelipper could deal pretty well with Registeel before it got Zap Cannon, because before it had Zap Cannon, Pelipper resisted every charge move from Registeel. Azumarill either resisted Focus Blast or the Flash Cannon was neutral. You could threaten them for big damage with Hydro Pump, but since he's got access to Zap Cannon, Registeel really just beats everything on the team. Registeel can just run absolutely rampant, and honestly we should have just stayed in with Ferrothorn and been dumping in Power Whips. Probably committed 1 shield in to shield up the first Focus Blast, probably gotten 2 or 3 Power Whips in, which wouldn't have taken it out, but it would have done a big chunk of damage. Instead, we just took the Focus Blast, nearly got one-shotted. Pelipper came in. We have to have shields for the Zap Cannons because they're going to hit so hard, but we're already floundering so hard in this game. Registeel is a very, very difficult, if not impossible lead now for this team to deal with. Zap Cannon is absolutely busted, and maybe if we ran Thunder on Ferrothorn, we'd have a little bit more play, but not that much because Thunder's not the best charge move. Power Whip's a pretty decent grass type stab charge move, so realistically you just better throw in multiple Power Whips at Registeel rather than having Thunder, but also Thunder gives you more Skarmory coverage, so I believe there's a case to be made currently with you running a team like this, that maybe you want Thunder on Ferrothorn instead. They're going to catch a Hydro Pump on Jealous, so this opponent is absolutely running rings round us at this point. They're catching the energy, they're going to bubble beam the Azumarill, we're down a shield, they've got a zap cannon pretty much loaded, we're done, we're just going to surrender there. Good game to the opponent. Alright, next matchup up against Old Fisher King. We're bringing our Ferrothorn into Walrein, Shadow Walrein. This is a pretty solid matchup if you're lined up in that capacity, because one Power Whip's going to get them incredibly low, if not just take them out in one hit. You can take multiple Icicle Spears, so you can force shields and get a strong advantage early on in the game in that matchup, so it's definitely a positive lead. They're going to swap out into Sableye, we're just going to bring in Azumarill. We don't have Play Rough, but we don't really need Play Rough. We're going to build up at least to 6 bubbles each time so that they know we could be throwing Play Rough if we did have it, but we are expecting them to fight quite hard for switch advantage, so we're happy just getting shields with these Ice Beams, and then probably, well, they swap back into Walrein actually, so we don't have to worry about them potentially racing to another return. We can just bring in Ferrothorn, get straight to a Power Whip, take them out, and we're in a very strong position now at this point. We found them down, and the opponent's just going to surrender there and give up the game. GG to them. Pelipper can also do okay against Sableye, but you don't want to get in that matchup behind on energy, because the foul play is going to hit like an absolute truck. Pelipper is relatively squishy. In this next matchup, we've got a Stunfisk on the lead, which is absolutely fantastic to see. I mean, the whole team deals quite well with Galarian Stunfisk, which is one of the nice advantages of this line, because really, Ferrothorn might be the worst matchup on the team against Stunfisk, or maybe Pelipper just because it goes toe-to-toe. They have to land really 2 Earthquakes to take out Ferrothorn. We're going to swap that into a Shadow Golbat, which I was a little bit confused about what to do in this matchup, because we certainly can't bring a Azumarill in. It'll definitely get battered down by the flurry of Poison Fangs that are going to start adding up quite quickly. We'd have to get 2 Ice Beams off to take them out. So we figure we'll bring in Pelipper, throw a Weather Ball, and just start chipping them down, see what they want to do. They actually throw the Shadow Ball rather than the Poison Fang, which means we're actually going to immediately get taken out by the Golbat. So now we're not in a particularly hot position. We were expecting them to throw the Poison Fang, and they definitely upended our expectations. And honestly, I wasn't sure if Pelipper could take a Shadow Ball from a Shadow Golbat, and we learnt the hard way that we definitely can't. So we're going to bring in Azumarill, farm all the way down. We're probably going to swap and clear the debuff. They bring in Stunfisk and throw. We are debuffed. We let it through. It's a mistake. We would... Oh, that absolutely screws us over. Deoxys in the back. We probably couldn't win anyway with Defense Deoxys in the back on that line anyway, but good game to the opponent. Maybe once we got the shield with the Flash Cannon, we should have actually brought in a Azumarill and just tried to get to 2 Ice Beams. That might have been a better play overall, but you can't know your opponent's team until you see it, right? This matchup, we get a Shadow Gramble lead, which is fantastic for Ferrothorn's Steel type. I'm going to be resisting that massive charm damage, but they swap into a Swampert, which is definitely not something you want to bring into a Ferrothorn, because we do not have to worry about these. But it's worth a shield, because that Earthquake would do big neutral damage, and if they're swapping into a Swampert and willing to commit a shield, you might as well return that shield, because you know that Ferrothorn can put in some serious work against the Gramble. We didn't shield the second move because we knew they couldn't have energy for another Earthquake already at that point, so build up a little bit more energy. Then we're going to bring in Ferrothorn, and we're just going to go for they actually bring in a Politoed. They build up some charms to swap out to Politoed. This team can do nothing against Ferrothorn. It is not prepared for the Steel Grass combo. We're going to catch the Weather Ball on Pelipper, farm them down, and there is nothing this Gramble can do. Doesn't matter what charge moves it's got. We've still got Ace Shield, they've got 1, but the opponent gives up the Ghost there. There's nothing they can do. And I do love that about Ferrothorn, that it's a core breaker for so many strong teams and lines, with it having the grass coverage against water types that are normally opponents' best answers to steel types. This game we get a massive Spiker lag at the beginning. It says go, and there's a Skarmory against us, which is absolutely panic stations. We should swap out straight away to Pelipper in this situation. That is what you want to do. If this happens to you, you get a Skarmory lead, you swap out to a Pelipper. But what we actually do is we CMP tie on a Brave Bird, which I'm surprised they throw. They could just go straight, they could really just go straight Sky Attack in that match and still be in an advantageous situation. But they swap out into Vigoroth, and we're figuring, well, we might as well just, you know, throw a Power Whip, maybe get a shield out of them before we swap out. We're going to bring in a Azumarill now, because the Skarmory isn't low, but it's took a big hit of damage from that double. The defense was down 2 stages when they took that Flash Cannon, so it did hit them pretty damn hard. So we're just going to come in here against the Vigoroth, go straight for the Hydro Pump. But, I mean, either we get the shield or we absolutely obliterate this Vigoroth. Bang, very happy for the damage. And now we're going to be able to bubble down, maybe get to an Ice Beam if the Skarmory comes back in before they're able to farm us down. It might be a little close. No, we should be able to make it to an Ice Beam. No worries at all. They actually bring in Swampert. So why they would choose to swap out of Skarmory and actually potentially align Swampert with Ferrothorn is kind of a big risky play on the opponent's part, but we're going to bring in Ferrothorn, and I think we're going to let this go. We're assuming it's a Hydro Cannon and we will survive it, and it is going to do a decent chunk of damage. We're going to throw again. This is worth the shield, and we're expecting them to swap out straight to Skarmory after throwing this. They actually tried to catch a Power Whip, but we were 1 Bullet Seed short, so the opponent's slightly misjudging that. Means we can come in with Pelipper, get to a Weather Ball. It might not quite take out Skarmory, but it will get it very, very, very low. Now we either Wing Attack down. That's fine. It wouldn't have mattered if the Skarmory had got to a move and just taken us out, because we might have just been able to get take it down with the Ferrothorn and then get rid of Swampert with the loaded Power Whip. They try and take out Pelipper. They don't manage to one-shot us. We were going to be able to make it to a Hurricane. The opponent surrenders. GG. Ferrothorn is definitely feeling all or nothing at the minute, really. In the current state of the meta, it's either got no play or it's got a lot of play against opponents' teams. It never seems to just be able to put solid work in like it used to be able to a few seasons ago. In this matchup, we've got a Defense Deoxys lead, and Defense Deoxys is just terrifying in general. Mainly for the whole team, actually, because most Defense Deoxys now run Thunderbolt, which is definitely going to one-shot Pelipper. It can put in good work against Azumarill. The counters are super effective. We're going to be really chipping down Ferrothorn. The only positive thing for Ferrothorn in this matchup is that it resists every single charge move that Defense Deoxys can throw. But those counters are just going to add up so much. Anyway, it's not going to matter. We're going to get taken down. We're bringing a Azumarill, see what the opponent wants to do. They swap out into a Cresselia, and this is still really bad news for us. The Grass Knots are going to do absolutely massive, super effective damage. We're also a little bit worried about that Defense Deoxys because it does have a fair amount of energy left over. It did throw a Thunderbolt at the Ferrothorn, but it did do a butt ton of counters. That Deoxys has way too much energy, but we figure we might as well spend Pelipper here because it's just going to get one shot by a Thunderbolt from Deoxys no matter what. So we might as well come in, throw the Hurricane. We're not going to shield anything. If we get to this next Weather Ball and get this Cresselia extra super nice. Oh, we are going to shield. Okay, that's I suppose it's worth it. We're going to get this Weather Ball off. I don't think it would finish off Cresselia though. It is very, very bulky, but also we wouldn't be able to farm down from that range with a bubble either. They take him out, they bring in Registeel, and this is pretty much a done deal. I'm assuming this Registeel is going to have Zap Cannon, and that is going to absolutely just run through the rest of the team. There's not going to be too much we can do here. We're going to just get to this Weather Ball. We actually overcharged slightly. We're tempting them to try and throw and CMP tie with us. Swap out to Deoxys, we bring in a Azumarill. Is this worth the shield? No, they've probably got Zap Cannon, but we need the shield for that. I don't really think we can win this game still at this point, but we're gonna give it a go. Shield up this move, Psycho Boost. That was an unfortunate shield, but also we were that low. We needed to shield something at this point. Throw the Ice Beam. We get the shield. Okay, can we take out the Deoxys and get to a move against Registeel? Absolutely not. That Registeel is loaded to the nines. But maybe they're gonna get optimistic about. They must be at 100 energy. They go for the farm down. We figure we just need the chip damage. We were expecting them to throw at us. We should have doubled down and gone for the Hydro Pump because we would have made it. We swap into Pelipper. They're going to throw and take us out, and now Azumarill is in lock-on down range, but we could have made it to the Hydro Pump. I mean, look at how much energy we had left over there at that point. If they were committing into farming down, that was our win condition. We could have got to a Hydro Pump and actually could have taken that game. So, our mistake, but good game all the same. Next match against Akon P, who's actually on my friends list, so shout out to you, Akon P. Nice to see you out in the Go Battle League. And we get a terrible lead in this matchup. We get a nice bit of lag at the start, though it doesn't cost us any fast moves. And we get a Trevenant on the lead. And Trevenant's just core breaker for this team. The grass damage threatens Azumarill so badly. The grass typing resisting Ferrothorn's grass moves is devastating. We're going to go straight for the Flash Cannon. We get it through. Does a massive chunk. We swap into Pelipper, hoping to quickly snipe down before they realise what's going on, but we're not quite able to get it. But we're not going to shield the Seed Bomb. I'm going to let it go. See what the opponent chooses to bring in. They're going to bring in Walrein. And at this health range, Walrein is quite tough to deal with. We are in range of a single Icicle Spear being knocked out. Ferrothorn's low enough where they could potentially powder snow us down, and then we don't have player off on Azumarill to hit it for neutral damage. So really this Walrein has the potential to do a lot of work right now against the line. We're not going to quite get to a Hurricane after we bait with the Weather Ball. We're figuring just get some chip damage, start getting it low, put it maybe in close enough range where Azumarill can finish it off and then hopefully take out whatever's left in the back. So we get farmed down. We're going to bring in Ferrothorn, I think, and tempt them to throw some energy, I believe, because I'm pretty sure Ferrothorns. No, we're bringing Azumarill straight away. That's fine. Are they going to throw an Ice Cold Spear? It's an Earthquake. That's an unfortunate call. They swap out straight away to Stunfisk, and we're going to let this go, I would assume. No, we're going to shield. We're all over the place. Some of these games. Can we make it to 2 power whips? We can. Okay, you know what? I take it back. It was worth the shield to get to 2 power whips here because it's going to do a big chunk of damage. And then this is probably going to get the last shield because otherwise this Stunfisk is going to be incredibly low. And now, can Azumarill make it to... We just need an Ice Beam, I'd say. Ice Beam and the Bubbles to finish them off. I don't think we'd make it to a Hydro Pump anyway because they did get a fair amount of energy. But if they get to a Rock Slide, we're done. They get there. Wait, 1 turn early. Not early, but like 1 turn before we get to the Ice Beam. That's going to put us just a little bit too low. 1 Shadow Claw from that Trevenant that's still alive will take us out. We don't even finish taking out the Stunfisk, actually. We get Mud Shotted down. Good game. It's always fun running into people on your friends list in Go Battle League, I think. It's always a little bit more pressure on that matchup to try and perform and, like, you know, hold your own as such. Alright, last matchup, and we pull a Swampert lead. Shadow Swampert specifically, but it doesn't matter. This is a dominant matchup, regardless of whether Swampert's Shadow or not. They swap out into a Shadow Drapion, and Drapion is a very strong Say swap in the Open Great League as well as in its limited metas that it qualifies for. We're going to go straight for a Flash Cannon, either hit them super hard or get a shield out of them before we swap into Pelipper. It goes through monstrous damage. We can bring in Pelipper, farm down entirely, and the opponent is just going to surrender there. They know they've got Swampert against the Ferrothorn. They're just going to give up the Ghost. GG's to them, though. So, what do I think about this team now? Would I recommend that you use it? Well, I don't think it's a bad team still. I think it was a very dominant team before, and now I think it's a bit more kept in check by some of the newer additions to the Great League meta, like Walrein and Registeel, like Trevenant, like Walrein. They really do hold this team in line a little bit better than it was before. It was very hard to cope with for a lot of teams 6-7 months ago. I still think it's a decent team, but I don't think it's the strongest that a Great League team can be. It's fun to play. I love playing Pelipper, I love playing Ferrothorn. I think that they're cool Pokemon, cool picks, but it's definitely no longer my best Great League team. So back to the drawing board, we're going to build some new teams, get some new squads up ready to deal with the new Great League meta. But if you've enjoyed this video, power whip the like button, flash cannon the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I will catch all you guys next time.